I came home without announcing myself, and there they were. My parents. My twin brother. My wife. She was smiling, my wife. That smile used to be mine. I used to think it meant something. And my brother, Trevor, that smug little parasite, had his arm draped behind her like he already owned the place, like he'd been promoted to man of the house, while I was out grinding to keep the lights on. I snapped. Burst through the door like a storm in boots. What's going on here? I barked. And I meant it. What the hell was this? My mother didn't even blink. You need to come to terms with your new reality, she said, voice cold enough to make steel shiver. You're no longer running the family business. My jaw clenched so hard I could hear my teeth grind. And then she spoke. My wife. My partner. The woman I'd build a damn life for. Trevor will take care of us, she said, like it was already settled. Just sign the papers, and then you won't go to jail. I just walked out. I got in my car. Drove 3 blocks. Pulled into the empty lot behind the diner off Route 7 and made a call to a man I never thought I'd need, the FBI. Because while my own blood had been plotting to cut me out, they'd forgotten one thing. I kept everything. Records. Emails. Transactions. By morning, Trevor was in custody. Wire fraud, money laundering, embezzlement. He'd been siphoning cash under my name for over a year. My retirement package, apparently. When I finally turned my phone back on, I had 157 missed calls. My wife. My mother. My father. Even Trevor, using his one jailhouse call to plead like a rat on a sinking ship. But I didn't answer. I just watched the screen light up, one call after another, and realized something. They tried to erase me from my own story. 157 missed calls. By noon, it was over 200. I didn't answer a single one. Then came the texts. Ethan, please. We need to talk. This isn't what you think. Trevor didn't mean any harm. He was just trying to help. Don't ruin this family over a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. That's what my own mother called it. A federal indictment. They never saw me as a son. Not really. I was just a tool. A workhorse. The clean-shaven golden boy who made things run smooth while they whispered behind closed doors. And Claire? She didn't even try to pretend. Her message was blunt. You were never built for this life. Trevor is. He's stronger, more ruthless. It had to be done. You'll thank us one day. Stronger? Ruthless? He was a parasite with a punchable jawline and a trust fund that couldn't buy discipline. I built the business. I made the calls. I took the risks. Trevor just waited for a chance to slide in like a snake when my back was turned. I guess I gave him the chance, didn't I? I was too busy being loyal to see the rats chewing through the floorboards. But this wasn't just about betrayal. And wars aren't won by anger. They're won by patience and precision. I called Thomas Andrews, my lawyer, one of the few people I still trusted. Start the paperwork, I said. For what exactly? He asked, already weary. Divorce. Lawsuit. Asset freeze. I want everything Claire's touched scrubbed. I want full ownership restored. And while you're at it, contact Forensic Accounting. We're going to expose every dirty transaction Trevor made in my name. Thomas was quiet for a second. You're sure? Absolutely, I said. I gave them everything. And they tried to bury me for it. That evening, I sat alone in my office. It still smelled like cedar and victory, back when that meant something. I pulled out the safe behind the bookshelf and retrieved 3 things. A black notebook, every password, every contract, every off-the-books ledger I kept out of pure habit. My father's original Sterling Industries letterhead from 1984, before the company was anything more than a name on a garage wall. A single USB drive. My insurance. The kind of thing you only create when you don't trust anyone. Turns out that version of me was smarter than I gave him credit for. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Claire. You're being dramatic. Let's talk like adults. There's still time to fix this. I stared at the message. Thought about the years I gave her. The birthday surprises. The late nights helping her study for her MBA. The nights I carried her to bed after she fell asleep working on her pitch decks. All the while, she was whispering "I love you" to my face and plotting my replacement behind my back. I didn't reply. Instead, I posted one sentence on my private social account. A lion doesn't respond to jackals. It lets them scream before it pounces. An hour later, I got a message from Emily, my sister. They're freaking out. Mom's crying. Claire's threatening to sue. Trevor's already begging for a deal. Good. Let them sweat. But this wasn't about revenge anymore. Not exactly. It was about legacy. That's how long it took for the panic to settle in across the Sterling family ranks. 2 weeks of silence from me. No responses. No retaliation. Just absence. But that's the thing about silence. It makes guilty people talk louder, faster, sloppier. Claire and my mother thought I'd just vanished, that I was licking my wounds somewhere, maybe plotting some grand emotional plea or pathetic apology. They didn't know I was watching, listening to every move. And Trevor? Oh, Trevor was rotting in a holding cell, trying to convince federal agents he was just misled. My twin. You'd think he'd have known me better. You'd think they all would. The thing about betrayal is it rewires you. It burns the soft out of your soul and forges something colder, stronger. I wasn't the same man they tried to break. I was better. I kept the press quiet, paid a PR firm to control the narrative. No leaks. No headlines. I didn't want the world to know just yet. The bigger the lie, the quieter you move until you're ready to drag it into the sunlight. Meanwhile, I was preparing a storm behind the scenes. I met with Thomas again. I want full control back. Every voting share. Every shell company Trevor used. Dig it all up. Already started, he said. But it's going to get ugly. I'm counting on it. He handed me a folder. Inside, Claire's financials. Let me tell you something. You think you know someone until you read their bank statements. Luxury retreats. Private spa treatments. Designer clothes listed as marketing expenses. One trip to Bali with a $12,000 hotel bill she charged to one of the shell companies Trevor funneled money through. The name on the reservation? Claire Sterling Hartley. Her maiden name and his. The paperwork was already drafted. She'd filed a name change request before the betrayal was even complete. Like she knew I was going down. Like she thought Trevor would walk away from this with everything. Money, name, legacy. Cute. Then came the part that truly snapped something in me. A video. A home security cam. One I'd long forgotten about. The hallway outside my office. It triggered a week before I walked in on their little family meeting. The footage? Claire. In my office. At my desk. Trevor behind her. Kissing her neck. My mother in the doorway, smiling. Claire laughing as she pulled a document out of my locked drawer. The original succession plan I'd drawn up with Dad before his health declined. I watched that video in full, maybe 10 times. It's amazing what kind of hatred can settle in your bones without raising your voice. They weren't just stealing from me. They were erasing me. That's when I made the call, to the one person Claire didn't know I still had in my corner. Isabella Voss. My father's old partner. She owned 12% of Sterling Industries. Hadn't been involved in years, but she was smart. Sharp as ever. And most importantly, she hated my mother. I'm activating the clause, I told her. There was a pause. Then a laugh. Well, it's about damn time, Ethan. Let's scorch the earth, shall we? The clause was buried deep in the original foundation documents of Sterling Industries. A failsafe, written by Arthur Sterling himself. If fraud was committed against a founding member by a sitting shareholder, a full internal audit and emergency control transfer could be triggered. But it had to be activated unanimously by remaining founding members or legacy partners. Me and Isabella. I hit send. The audit began that night. Quiet, clean, and completely legal. Claire called me 2 days later. The voice I once fell asleep beside now sounded like static. Why is the company locking out my accounts? Ethan, what did you do? I didn't answer. She called again. And again. Then my mother called. Ethan, honey, we need to talk. Now they wanted to talk. You see it in their eyes. That split-second panic when they sense the mask slipping, and they're clawing at it with shaky hands trying to keep it on. But it's too late. The damage is done. The mask doesn't fit anymore. That's what happened to Claire the morning she showed up at my office. Yes, my office. She walked in like she still owned something, like the world hadn't changed overnight. Hair perfect. Designer coat. Even wore the earrings I bought her last anniversary. How poetic. But this time, security didn't open the door for her. They stopped her in the lobby. Said she wasn't authorized. She lost it. Stormed in behind another employee. Made it all the way up to my door before she realized the keycard no longer worked. Had to be buzzed in by my assistant. I let her stew in the hallway for exactly 5 minutes before I opened the door. Ethan, she said. Her voice tried to sound surprised, concerned, even sweet, but it cracked at the edges like old wallpaper peeling off the walls. What is going on? Morning, I said, flipping through a folder. You're not on the schedule. Don't do this, she hissed, dropping the act. You're making a mistake. No, Claire, I said, finally looking up. You made the mistake. I'm just correcting the record. She marched forward, finger raised like I was some teenage boy who forgot curfew. We can fix this. This doesn't have to turn into some petty power play. I leaned back in my chair, calm, cold. Petty? You tried to erase me. You, my mother, and my junkie of a brother signed forged documents, hacked internal files, and attempted a hostile takeover in my name. That's not petty, Claire. That's a felony. She opened her mouth. Shut it again. Yeah, she hadn't expected me to know that. She was still clinging to the version of me she thought she broke. I'm giving you a chance to walk, I said, voice low and even. No court battle. No headlines. You hand over everything, keys, accounts, access, and disappear. Or I go public. Her lips twisted, rage flickering behind her eyes. You wouldn't dare. I smiled, slow and steady. I already did. Thomas had filed a civil suit the morning before it sealed for now. But the board knew. The shareholders knew. And in less than 48 hours, the audit would be done. Every shady wire transfer. Every siphon dollar. Every lie, in black and white. Trevor's plea deal had cracked wide open when they offered him a reduced sentence to spill. Guess what he gave them? Everything. He turned on her. On all of them. Brotherly love, huh? Claire's face turned to stone. Her mouth moved, but no words came out. I stood up, walked to the window. You know, I said, staring out over the city I helped build. For a long time, I thought being the quiet one made me weak. Thought being the man who didn't shout, didn't threaten, didn't posture, that made me easy to manipulate. I turned to face her. But it turns out, the quiet ones? We're just waiting for the right moment to strike. She stood there frozen, the weight of it all crashing down in real time. You have until tomorrow, I said. Then this becomes public record. And believe me, no charity board, no country club, no old money family friends are going to save you when your name is tied to criminal conspiracy. Claire tried one last move, her eyes softened, lips parted slightly. Ethan, we had a life. Don't you remember any of it? I looked at her. Really looked. And then I said it. No. I remember building something real. You were just standing in the frame while I poured the concrete. She left without another word. I sat back down, picked up my phone. One text from Thomas lit up the screen. Audit complete. It's worse than we thought. Ready to file? I typed one word. Yes. The morning the audit went public, I didn't say a word. Didn't make a statement. Didn't hold a press conference. I just uploaded the documents to an anonymous site with one simple headline. The truth behind Sterling Industries. Within hours, it was everywhere. Business blogs, local news, forums, LinkedIn feeds. Even some national sites picked it up once they smelled the rot. The court of public opinion didn't need a jury. It devoured them alive. Claire was the first to fold. She'd spent years polishing her public image, charity dinners, women in business panels, social media posts about empowerment and resilience. Turns out, those don't pair well with phrases like fraud, conspiracy, and embezzlement. She tried to spin it. Claimed innocence. Claimed she was manipulated. Claimed she didn't know what Trevor was doing. But the receipts told a different story. Literally. Wire transfers. Fake invoices. A $22,000 consulting fee to her cousin's non-existent LLC. And of course, the private villa in Capri she somehow forgot to disclose to the board. Oops. She was dropped from 3 boards within 48 hours. Sponsors pulled funding. PR firms cut ties. And that was before the IRS showed up. Trevor? Trevor started singing like a bird in a cage, except this bird had a cocaine problem and no loyalty. He rolled over on everyone. Not just Claire. Not just Mom. He gave them names, dates, passwords. He even gave them my mother's burner phone locks. Turns out, the Queen herself was orchestrating more than just family dinners and manipulative guilt trips. She'd been hiding money, offshore accounts, ghost investments in Trevor's name. She wasn't trying to secure the future of the business, she was trying to take it and flee. She'd already started transferring assets to a holding company registered in the Caymans under a fake name, Eleanor Hartwell. Your grandmother's maiden name, Thomas told me, sliding the evidence across the desk. Classy. She got served at brunch, wearing pearls, holding a flute of mimosa. Oh, to be a fly on that wall. And my father? He finally broke his silence. He called me that night. I didn't know, he said. God help me, Ethan. I didn't know how far they'd go. I believed him. Mostly. But that didn't mean I had anything left to say to him. I let him talk. Let him beg. Let him apologize for being blind, for being weak, for standing there while they carved up everything I'd built. But when he asked me if there was any way to fix it, I gave him the only answer I had left. No. The past wasn't broken. It was burned. And I wasn't rebuilding it. I was replacing it. Sterling Industries? That name died the second they tried to steal it from me. I had the legal right to restore it, but I didn't want to. Let them try to revive the corpse of that legacy in court. Let them argue over ashes. I'd already moved on. While they scrambled, I was building something new. A leaner company. A new name. A new logo. With partners I vetted myself. People who earned their place, not backstabbed their way in. I called it Ironvale. Strong. Subtle. Untouchable. Within a month, half the clients I'd once worked with followed me. Not because I asked, but because they saw the truth. They knew who built the empire. And who tried to bury it. Everything emails, burner phones, dummy corporations, the offshore accounts Claire helped set up under shell foundations, it all came pouring out. The prosecutors didn't even have to lean hard. He gave them the whole kitchen sink with a cherry on top just to shave a few years off his sentence. He threw everyone under the bus, including my mother. Let me paint this scene for you. The once proud matriarch of the Sterling family, the woman who used to glide through boardrooms and garden parties like a queen, now being subpoenaed. Her lawyer called me personally, tried to smooth things over, offered a sit-down off the record, said the family was concerned about appearances. I told him, "Tell Eleanor Sterling I'm done protecting appearances. The only record I care about now is the courts." The media got wind of it a day later. Not from me. I kept my hands clean. But leaks happen when the right pressure is applied. The headline hit the finance blogs first. Sterling Industries rocked by internal fraud allegations. Founding family under investigation. That's when the phone calls started again. Board members. Investors. Old family friends suddenly pretending they hadn't seen the warning signs. I kept it simple with each of them. This isn't a scandal. It's a cleansing. Then came Claire's email. Short. Sharp. No greeting. Just, "I hope you're proud of yourself. You've destroyed this family." I stared at the screen for a while. Then I replied, "You destroyed it the day you decided I was expendable." No response. I didn't expect one. Meanwhile, Isabella Voss was proving to be the quiet wrecking ball I needed. She'd always played the long game, and now that she had full board support, she was enacting emergency leadership protocols. That meant two things. Every signature Claire had forged was nullified. I was reinstated as acting CEO with unanimous vote. The same office they tried to exile me from now had my name etched into the glass. But I wasn't interested in just walking back into my old life like nothing happened. That life's gone. Dead. Buried in the ashes of a betrayal I refused to forget. So I did something no one saw coming. I announced my exit. 6 months from now, I'd step down. Permanently. But before I left, I'd liquidate assets, restructure the company, and set up a trust untouchable by anyone in the Sterling bloodline. Every ounce of profit Sterling Industries made under my leadership would fund scholarships, community grants, medical tech incubators, real impact. Something that matters. And Claire? Trevor? My mother? They get exactly what they left me with. Nothing. Except their names and the footnotes of a public disgrace. At home, the silence was different. Calmer. I'd gutted the place, tore out the furniture, painted the walls, stripped every room down to bones and beams. I wasn't preserving anything. I was building again. On my terms. My sister Emily showed up one evening. She brought Chinese takeout and sat in the middle of my floor like we were kids again. No chairs. No distractions. Just two survivors picking through lo mein and memories. "You okay?" she asked, finally. I nodded. No. 6 weeks after the board reinstated me, the invitations went out. Not for a court hearing. Not for a deposition. For a gala. That's right. I threw a party. The Sterling Foundation 40th Anniversary Gala. A tribute to my father's legacy, or so the world thought. Black tie. Donor tables. Champagne fountains. Velvet ropes. The kind of event my mother used to treat like her throne room. And I made sure she got an invite. Hell, I gave her a front row seat. Because this wasn't just a fundraiser. This was the stage. The confession booth. The final act. The venue buzzed with old money, new money, and the kind of industry vultures who couldn't care less about morality as long as the stocks kept climbing. The lights were warm. The string quartet played something forgettable. I worked the room like a ghost, calm, smiling, untouchable. Then it was time for the speech. My speech. I walked up to the mic, glass in hand, cameras flashing, every eye on me. Behind me? A towering display, Sterling Industries through the years. And then I began. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. This company has endured for 40 years, not just because of brilliance or business acumen, but because of something much simpler, trust. A murmur. I kept going. But trust, as we all know, is fragile. It can be betrayed, bought, forged. People were shifting in their seats now. Glasses half-raised, smiles fading. And yet, it is in betrayal that we see what someone truly believes in, whether they choose to protect what they built or burn it all for a better view. I gestured to the screens behind me. They flickered to life. Not company logos. Not family photos. Evidence. Redacted bank statements. Timeline charts. Transaction logs. All anonymized, but obvious to the right people. In one photo. A grainy still of Claire and Trevor in my office, laughing over forged documents. The room fell silent. You could have heard a champagne bubble pop. I looked directly into the crowd, straight at my mother, seated at the center table in her usual ice-colored gown. She didn't blink, didn't move, but her hand tightened on her glass so hard the stem snapped. Sterling Industries, I said, was built on honor. What came after was an attempted hijacking. That's been corrected. Gasps. A few people stood up. My mother? Still frozen. Claire wasn't there, of course. She didn't RSVP, but she was watching. I knew that. I ended the speech with one sentence. Tonight, we toast to new beginnings, ones that no longer hide behind old names. And I walked off the stage. That speech went viral within 24 hours. Finance news, legal blogs, Twitter, TikTok. Everyone had a theory. And while the documents were legally sealed, the court of public opinion doesn't wait for paperwork. Suddenly, Claire's contracts dried up. Investors ghosted her. Trevor? Transferred out of state. My mother? Stepped down from every board she ever sat on. And me? I just went quiet again. See, people expect fireworks when you're betrayed. They never expect silence. And that's what makes it so lethal. A few weeks later, I got a letter. Handwritten. Claire's signature at the bottom. I never thought you had it in you. But I suppose I never really knew you at all. She was right. She married a man she thought was safe. Predictable. Malleable. She didn't know I was forged in fire long before I ever met her.